Hello everyone, and welcome to another patch preview video. This time for the Nemesis pack 10 and 11 for Wano. And this isn't the biggest patch, but it's a pretty cool patch as it brings a lot of nice quality of life improvements, plus some key balance changes. And we're gonna start with the quality of life ones, starting with an Army General change. Units move faster now in Army General when they are AI controlled. So on the map, they don't move further, they just move faster in the animation so that the AI turns take less time, which is really nice because that's a long waiting time, especially on the really big ones like Highway 66. So that being sped up is nice. And then the second really cool one is a new hotkey that you can put in, and that is for hide user interface during game, meaning that you can hide the UI similar to how you can do it in replays with the button down below, and really just take in the scenery and the great look of Wano. So a really nice change there being implemented, and the one that has been asked for, especially by content creators for a long time, but also by a lot of single player players. So I believe a lot of you will like this one. That gets us to the in-game quality of life changes, and the biggest one there is when we go into the infantry tab and we have a look at stats cards of reservist units, because those now have the indicator for the stats changes from reservist, and all other stats changes are now shown live and correctly on the stats card. So reservist before, the debuff wasn't shown on the stats card. That is now the case. Same goes for militia. So if you have a look at KDA, it doesn't only have the debuff for accuracy, it also indicates the debuff for rate of fire and reload time that the militia trait brings. And all of that also updates in real time in-game now. So if you are in a fight in-game and you click E, you see the stats of the unit at that moment with, and if you bring, for example, a military police unit by, you will see that it does go away. If you take damage, you will see it change as well. Same goes for Special Forces one. For example, if you go with the Spetsnaz, they now have the real stats shown that they get from the veterancy of Special Forces as well. So all of this now is working quite nicely. And yeah, then there are a couple of AI improvements as well, and a couple of UI changes all around. So this is really nice. Jammer trait now properly debuffs GSR infantry units, and all of that is pretty cool. Now let's get to the balance changes. And let's start with, in my eyes, the biggest general one, and that is, first of all, it changed to a lot of plane autonomy to 240 seconds. All of them now have the 240 seconds, the F-15 included, for example. That now has 240 seconds. And then there has been a buff to some NATO long-range missiles. The AIM-7M and the Super Flash, the Sky Flash Super Temp, that way around, both now have the same range as the long-range R-27s, being set up for the upcoming introduction of AIM-7Fs, which then will have the old stats, and a buff to NATO air superiority in general. So American and British planes here profiting from it, the Tornado and the F-15, F-16, and F-4s that have the AIM-7M Sparrows will profit from that, which are in a lot of divisions, so NATO's air superiority will be getting a good big buff there, and helping out, especially in 10v10 fights where you fight along with those long-range missiles, holding off the enemies, especially the F-15C Eagle AA2 here, profiting a lot from this. And it's a nice change, as that brings it on par with its Su-27 counterpart on the other side, and just makes this a balanced approach now between NATO and Pact, for sure. And yeah, also nice setup for the upcoming missiles. So let's then get into the balance on the nation level, and let's start with the US, where we have airborne engineers, or aero engineers rather, go down 5 points. Those are 50 points now. They were a bit overpriced before. They're just normal engineers with shock, so yeah, 50 points is where they should be. Then we have another infantry unit here with the airborne dragon going down to 70 points. And a good couple of infantry changes here. The airborne fire team, the 84, goes up to 40 points though. This one here, slight increase as it, yeah, it was the same price as the aerofighter team 84 without the extra price. And then we have a lot of ATGM changes for the infantry. ATGM price changes in general. That's actually throughout all nations, so let's bring that up. National Guard tow going down 5 points, Aero tow 2, and all the tow 2s going down 5 points as well. So a lot of ATGMs. Milan 2s going down 5 points, Fagots going down 5 points, and the Milan 1s going down 5 points as well, though that might still be changed. This is a preview build as always. Yeah, because the Milan 1 also got 5% accuracy, and it was a double buff, and it's now the same stats basically as the Fagot. So yeah, the Fagot being at 50 base accuracy is just like the Milan, both having the same range and the same rate of fire and so on. So they're identical, nearly, outside of slight suppression difference. So they should be both 50 points now, which the Milan still would get the accuracy buff, the Milan 1. So that is an oversight that will be changed with a hotfix or before the build releases. Either way, yeah, those are the changes here. And yeah, bit of a slip up there by Strike Team. And then we have more American infantry changes here that we can talk about. As one more that has been brought up is the Rangers. The Rangers with dragons now are only 5 points more expensive than the normal one, so as they should be, and now are at 65 points. Their base availability also increasing from 5 to 6, so you get a nice buff there to the Rangers being a good bit more a bit cheaper. The Mule M40 A1 also went up to higher base availability. That's this one here in 101st, though I don't think you will use this, but went from 8 to 12 base availability. Then we have some tank tap changes, or rather anti-tank tap changes, as the M901 got their modeled smoke launchers added now as well. They now can fire smoke rounds, or rather they should have modeled smoke and don't have it, but like in real life they had smoke, so these things can smoke now. Not sure if it's actually modeled on the model, but it should be. And yeah, that's a nice thing here for these guys. This one having smoke here, yeah, the smoke launchers should be up there on the front, and they aren't currently, I believe, but this thing can use smoke rounds now, and that is pretty helpful for your ITO and TOW launchers. Not quite sure why the normal M901 doesn't show up. The one with the TOW 2 has smoke to us now as well. So yeah, nice changes there. And then one more buff here to recon units with the Delta going down to 75 points from 80. So another buff to 101st there. And the PSSEB going down to 55 points. So Belgium finally getting a bit of love there as well. And yeah, in general, solid little buffs here to units that were a bit underperforming. Infantry ATGMs being a little more expensive than their vehicle counterparts by a good margin before didn't really make sense, so the price buffs there should help out infantry divisions dealing with vehicles a good bit more, as those are divisions that can add the most of those to their decks, so that's a nice change as well. And yeah, that brings us to the next nation, being the United Kingdom. And here we get a new trait that is also coming up a lot with Southx Luftlandedivision and is being added now. And that is the Mountaineer Trait. Mountaineer Trait means that these units have no movement penalty in forests and difficult terrain being ruins and so on. So this one has been added to the Gurkha and the Afghansi so far, and it will be added to the Gebirgsjäger with Luftlande, and that makes the Gurkhas a lot more deadly in forest, and a really cool unique unit now. Mnet will profit quite a bit from that. So really nice buff there to this unit, and making these a good bit more interesting, and really adding a bit more play to infantry playing in general. And yeah, as I said, having it on the Soviet side with the Afghansi is a nice thing as well. You know, having it a bit more, on a bit more units than just the Gebirgsjägers when they come around. And yeah, getting us a bit closer towards South Egg there. Harrier GR3 AA went up to 4 base availability per card. So they are now on par with MiG-21s. So yeah, as a short range, relatively slow, low hit point fighter, that makes sense. So Harrier GR3 can be now spammed a bit more. They only have one missile slot and so on, so they are not that scary. But yeah, can be used a bit more versatile now, as in using against helicopters and so on, without running out of them immediately. We talked about the Milan changes, so we don't have to go about that again. Terriers, Pioneers, going down 5 points here. And then we also have some slight buffs to some recon units. The Air Mobile Scouts going down to 65 points. So yeah, another second UK buff. It is what it is, guys. But this is a really solid unit now. It has been a pretty good unit before. It's a really solid unit now. And the Motorized Scouts, that is a pretty good one as well, with 2MG. Carl Gustav went to 55 points as well. So these two ones are nice buffs. This is a nice buff to fourth. Their opener getting a bit stronger there with this. And then we come over to the West Germans, where we start with the Heimat M48 A2, going back up to 80 points as reservist buff and changes. Though I'm not quite sure why it went that high up. I get 10 points difference now between these two with the higher pen and the stats changes and so on. It went up 1 in base availability. It's now 10 base availability. I think it should be 75 points. But yeah, it is what it is here. 48. Yeah, it might be have been mixed up with the Luftlande one, but I'm not so sure about. I think that I feel like that's what happened. Something for a hotfix. We'll bring it up. Just might not even make it into the live build. We will see. Then we have Fallschirmjäger B1 being renamed, like all Fallschirmjäger units. They are now called Fallschirmjäger, not FS-Jäger. And the B1 also now being 5 points cheaper. So that's a great buff to TKS that really relies on these units in the opener. And getting these 5 points cheaper makes this an insanely good unit. It was a pretty good unit before. 5 points cheaper, this is an insanely good unit now. So we absolutely should take that. And then we also have a buff to the some of the Iltises, which went a bit slowly off-road. I'm not quite sure if it was all Iltises or just a couple that were wrong. I believe it was only the transport one that was wrong. That now goes 90 kilometers off-road as well. I believe the other ones had that speed already beforehand. Just the transport one now going 90 km off-road too. And then we have a slight buff, nerf to the Gepard, going up 5 points in price and being now at 85 points. So it is on par with Biusa and so on. As this being so cheap didn't quite make sense. This is a really deadly AA piece, and it has smoke and all. So being 85 points is a fair price for this kind of unit. And Territorial Kommando Süd Bofors got its base veterancy decreased from 1 to 0, as it's not a veteran unit, so that is what it is. but gets us to the French, where we get a decent amount of buffs to the 101st for the most part. Starting with the AML-90, going from 60 to 50 points. So this division will have you spammed with a lot of light vehicles now, like it should do. And the light vehicles are finally at the price where they really can keep coming. I'm a bit scared about this division now, but we will see how it goes. AMX-13 lost its stabilizer, so it is now completely unstabilized, can't shoot on the move at all, which actually is kind of a buff so that you stop this unit and don't just waste your rounds. Like for the usage part of this is actually kind of okay. And then we have the EBR 90 going down to 70 points as well. Next buff to this division is the VIB, going on par with the VAB in the AA variant of this, and going down to 40 points. It has security on top, but paying 10 points extra for that didn't really make sense. It's not a special force one, so it doesn't get any special stats or so like the special forces units it transports with. But yeah, having this 10 points cheaper makes the opener with the special forces infantry a good bit better for the French. Like the command layer coming around, commandos with this now being 120 points instead of 130 points will make the 152nd opener a good bit better, especially with all the other buffs to the light vehicles. The infantry Milans going down in price, that all makes sense as well, happening here too. And then we have availability buff to the AML 60s, Gendarme and 61-2. So both of these going from 4 to 6 base availability. So buff to 11th Bearcom and the 152nd obviously. They also have the demolition trait now, like the Belgians, indicating that they deal good damage against infantry and buildings, ignoring cover. So that is nice too. I believe that's added to the AVR, the other destruction tanks here as well. We have a look. The EBR, this EBG, yeah, all of these now indicate that they have the demolition trait. So nice little quality of life improvement there too. Ignoring building cover, which they did before, but now they have a trait for it. AML-90 in Recon obviously went down 10 points as well, just like its tank variant. So that's a nice change too. And then the AMX-13 DCA went down to 70 points. It's the weaker brethren of the Gepards and so on. I feel like 75 would have been fine. It's a 15-day buff after all, but yeah, 70 points it is. Yeah, it's a radar AA unit and so on. It has a relatively short range, and the stats are not that amazing actually for a radar AA. So it is fine, but yeah, it's a nerf. Then it's a buff to these units. Then we have a slight nerf to the Crotel, bringing it on par with other units like it, going to 6 hit points. Same goes for the Rolands of the American. This one going to 6 hit points as well, bringing it on par with other soft body AA units that shouldn't be that high. And we come to the Dutch, where we have one change that is just a fix. Leopard 1NL going to 90 points, like they should go. And then we have a small buff to the Marina Dragon, but that is not really a unit that you're gonna use anyway. But if you want to use the Marina Dragon, they now are 20 points. 15 points for the non-resolute one in the new division. So yeah, Marina Dragon here. Now, even cheaper, but I still don't believe you will use them. TOW 2 obviously went down 5 points here as well. And then we have the Cheetah going up 5 points, just like the Gepard. So yeah, slight nerfs here to the 4th Dutch division, which it deserves. It is still a really strong division. So 5 points on the Leo 1NL, 5 points on the Cheetah, won't kill the division, but reduces its power level to a slightly more median level of division power. Then we come to the Belgians, where we have a couple of all the Milan changes obviously as well, and we have the Pioneer Flam going down to 40 points. That's a nice buff for this unit, and this might be quite worthwhile now. We have Hunt Flam Patrona and 9 Uzis, pretty beefy squad, and for 40 points you can really move around this quite fast now. And then we have Para Command RL going down 5 points and to 8 availability. That's a this one here. This one goes up in availability. Yeah, Para Commando going up to 8 base availability, which is a nice buff. And we also have a price change to its transport. So Mnet eats good. This patch with the Gurkhas, with the Dragon one if you want it, but especially with this one here as well. The Unimog Para, that is also in the new Div Mob division, goes down to 35 points. And for a forward deploy unit that comes with a Milan and a 50 cal, that is quite nice. Like, this is a really nice transport now for those Paras, and really important unit for both Div Mob and Mnet now. As you can get it for the Milan 1 as a transport in Mnet as well, so both the Para Commando RL and the Milan 1 can come in these, and then you can get 10 of these out in the first couple of minutes and really spam the battlefield with Milan 1s. Will be great gameplay for Mnet. I'm happy as an Mnet fan. I didn't ask for this, but I'm happy to get it. Gepard here obviously goes up 5 points as well, as it's an Mnet. The Gepard is nerfed everywhere. And that brings us to Pact. And in Pact, we have to start with the tank, and that is the T-55. Going up supposedly 5 points across the board. There has been a slight hiccup. Most likely I'm the one to blame. So if you want to blame somebody, if it doesn't make it to life, it will get fixed as soon as possible. It might be fixed before the patch goes live. It might be fixed slightly afterwards. Yeah, that is the 5 points increase to all T-55s. That is planned. So you can see here Kampfpanzer T-55A and so on being increased by 5. The Polish T-55A and the Soviet TO-55A didn't make it. Didn't get that nerf right now. And I misspelled TO. You see, the East German one has it. The Soviet one currently doesn't have it. Yeah, there was a slight hiccup in the balancing process there. And the Polish one, yeah, didn't get it yet either. Which obviously is one of the main reasons for this nerf, so it absolutely should get it. The Merida and so on got the nerf as well, and yeah, those going up 5 points. But the T-55A here currently dodged it. Will get it as soon as possible though, so small Polish and Soviet nerf coming in, either with the build, you will see if it's live, or with the hotfix afterwards. So yeah, important nerf there to these overperforming tanks, and yeah, maybe not quite far enough, we will see, but an important change there for sure. Then we have another tank of the Soviets that got nerfed, and that was another really overperforming one, and that is the C-64A OBR 83, going from 150 to 160 points. As at 150, it was completely busted. It is still really good at this price point, but it's not OP anymore. At the same time, another T-64 goes down 5 points in price. That is the T-64B, because it paid a 20-point tax for its ATGM, whilst its ATGM is nowhere near as good as the better Agona ATGM that the T-64BV gets. So it having the same price hike of 20 points didn't make sense. It now pays 15 points for it, making it more worthwhile to get the Cobra. Maybe it can even go 5 points lower. We will see. but for now, a slight price above here to the T-64B in 6 Moto and 25 pounds tank OV. So yeah, those are the tank changes. And then we have the Fagot price reductions. We have the Mountaineer Trait on the Afghansi. There's another Afghansi here getting the Mountaineer Trait. That's not Afghansi getting it as well. So these two units now can move faster through urban area, moving around there quite quickly. And we also have a base availability increase for the reserve Saperi LPO from 6 to 7 base availability, and for the reserve Saperi from 8 to 9 base availability. And yeah, nice increases there. Slight buff to the infantry of 157. Not super important. And then we have BRDM reserve BRDM Malyutka going up in base availability from 7 to 8 as well. So this one here getting the availability buff for reservists that it deserves. And then we have the Luatz SPG9 going down to 40 points here, as it paid the same price as its forward deployed counterpart and had to pay the extra tax there without being forward deployed. Bringing us over to the East Germans, where we go with a BRM 1K reduction in availability. The Aufklärungs BRM 1K now has the same 4 availability per card as the BRM 1K of the Soviets, so not having the extra availability on that anymore, which it didn't deserve. So that's a nice change. Then T-55 price increase, T-55 price increase, and Fagot buff. And we have Marine Pioneer going down in price to 60 points. So a slight Rügener buff to its infantry. That is pretty nice, helping out these infantry a bit. And we have a couple of moving around price changes for 4th Mordschützen. The Fallschirmjäger, which also now all called Fallschirmjäger, with SMG and with Medis, both going down 5 points. So the SMG one is now 60 points. The Medis one is now 70 points, only paying 5 points instead of the 10 points, because Medis was nerfed a long time ago, and now it finally doesn't pay that much extra for it anymore. And at the same time, the Fallschirmjäger Sprengtaucher going up. Is it still? Yeah, it's still FS because the name is too long. Fallschirmjäger Sprengtaucher is now at 65 points instead of 60. So paying for its smoke that it got added for free beforehand. And yeah, now being at 65 points. And then we have Mordschützen with the SMG. Mordschützen? There we go. SMG 1 being at 45 points now. So this one might be more interesting, as it's a 7-man squad here with a weaker AT weapon. But yeah, might be a really interesting unit now. And Recon Wachaufklärer. The Wachaufklärer going down to 50 points as well. Yes, they're special forces, but they're only a 6-man squad, so 50 points for these guys. And Wachschützen RPO on the other side going up to 55 points, as they are 10-man squad with RPOA and good weapons. So making sense to have those go to 55 points. So a bit of moving around there. No major changes here, but yeah, just a bit of balancing on a unit level between these divisions. And we have some Polish changes. And there we have first the BVR 1D also going down in availability to 4, just like its Soviet counterpart. Yeah, the Soviet one going down from 6 to 4 base availability as well. So BVR 1Ds nerfed across the board, as they were just really good free recon basically. And Yeah, had just better availability than other GSR units, or recon, ground surveillance radar vehicles. So that didn't make sense. We then have the Merida price increase, T-55 A1 coming soon. And then we have a Saperji buff though, which is a bit weird to me. I think they were pretty fine at 55 points with the AT capability added on top. But yeah, they go now to 50 points. The Dejan Saperji going down to 50 points as well. Those deserved it. This one didn't, in my book. But yeah, this one is forward deploy. So you have to pay the tax. But yeah, the Komar is not great, but it is an AT weapon. And then the Bereti Saperji going down 5 points as well. So these are now at 60 points. So this is fine as well, buffing this division. Yeah, this brings the patch to an end. And that brings us to one more thing that we have to show. And that's, as always, the map. And that one is Eiche. Eiche being Destruction and Conquest 3v3 map. So let's have a look onto that map. It was previewed a while ago. It's a pretty good looking map. It has a lovely little town here on the left side. It has a pretty mirrored setup here for the most part, though not fully mirrored. It's not a full-on mirror map like the 1v1 ones, but like you have the town here being going through both sides. You have a nice stretch of open field with a hill in the middle though that you have to go through. Another town here, another bigger plateau on this area here that you have to fight over. Two hills here actually that you go in between, so a bit more interesting elevation in the middle of the battlefield, which I'm always a fan of. And then another plateau here on the right side, so the plateaus like breaking the battlefield is a pretty cool addition. And yeah, a unique feature of this map without them being like overwhelming. And yeah, a decent amount of small little villages mixed with open terrain, the villages being the zones for the most part, but the area between the zones being tank country. So should be room for any kind of divisions here to play on this. Destruction version also being rotated around so that you fight this way is pretty cool as well. And yeah, good to see that Eugen adds the destruction for the people who want to play that with the new releases now as well. I would say job well done on this map. It's, as I said, somewhat mirrored, but not fully. A bit less so than Omen. And still a really cool one. Like, I like this town here with the slight high rises. I like the middle town here, which is just a normal village. And yeah, let me know down below what you think about this patch in general. I'm pretty excited for the infantry buffs with the ATGM teams and so on. I'm pretty excited for NATO finally being able to keep it up to the Soviets in the air battles. And I'm hopeful that the T-55 nerfs come in time. BRM1 nerf is a nice one to the packed openers as well that were a bit too strong. So yeah, let me know down below what you think. I don't think it's the biggest one for sure, but bigger ones will come with Southec, and it's still a really welcome one in my book, going in the right direction. So see you all next time, bye guys, and have a great day.